Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. We're at a local shop looking at a Subaru. Interesting story on this one. Usually the shop contacts me if they want me to come over and do a diagnosis. On this one, the owner contacted me and said he towed it to the shop, and they, for some reason, couldn't make heads or tails out of it, and they just pushed it out the door. Well, according to the owner, he said it just died on the highway and doesn't even crank. 2014 WRX, and I'm like, what's the story with the missing bumper? Apparently, we don't have the full story here. Maybe it died after taking a 3-foot jump. Battery spanked, 11 volts. So let's fire up the Tornado 90,000, see if we can talk to any of the modules, and go from there. Uh-oh, I see some parts cannon items here. Got a starter, got an ignition switch. Definitely don't have the full story. 110,000 miles, okay. Do the windows work? They do. We have a check engine light, we do. Let's make sure it doesn't crank. Definitely no crank. Let's hook up the scanner, see if we can talk to the modules. Alright, here we go. Asian Subaru. Okay. Let's see if we can auto ID. Area select. North America. Impreza WRX. Let me take a picture of the VIN, make sure we're on the right track here. Alright, it is indeed a 2014. That's the E VIN, so we have to do other years. And let's see what it talks to. I'm going to let it do its full, or try to do the full health report. Looks like it's having trouble talking to the OBD. See if the ECM's online. It's a manual transmission, 5-speed, so TCM's not going to be there. We'll see what comes up. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modules online, and we have some codes. So let me just save this in a report. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Improper CAN communication. ECM no received data. Low speed malfunction. Yep. CAN system. CAN high speed ECM no received data. ECM to integrator unit. Okay. CAN low speed meter, no received data. That's not good. So we have a No-Comm with the engine control module. Right? That's offline. That's a problem. Where does it live? I did a little bit of homework on this car. It lives by the passenger's seat. Let's get to that. Check powers and grounds. Start with that. This one should be interesting. By the way, after a low battery event, it's a good idea to clear all the codes and see what comes back. So here's what came back. Hard faults. CAN high-speed ECM no received data. ABS says improper CAN communication. And CAN high-speed ECM no received data. So apparently the cluster's fine, the low speed's fine. We're going after this engine computer. Let's dig it out, do some power and ground checks. Alright, we got the engine computer out. We have a couple test lights, good power and ground coming from the cigarette lighter, so we're ready to do our power and ground checks. So first thing I want to do is check the grounds. Now I did some homework. This is the wiring diagram for the starting system, and why does this thing not crank? So when you turn the key to start, it sends power to two places. The starter relay sends power to the load side. And how do we close the relay? Well, it goes through a fuse, the clutch start switch, powers up the control side of the relay, and look, the control side of the relay is grounded by the engine control module. So if the engine control module is offline, it's not grounding this pin, there's no way the starter relay can click on. And the fact that the car died on the highway or whatever and wouldn't crank, immediately I'm suspecting the engine control module is MIA. So here are the 4 connectors at the engine computer, and I just briefly went through all the diagrams and picked out the blue are the grounds, the red are the powers. I labeled them, battery positive, ignition positive, and then these 2 come from the relay, the ECM relay, and then the orange pins are important, like start relay, main relay control, start signal. And so let's check these pins and we'll mark them off if they're good or bad. Alright, so I'm going to start by checking the grounds. First, let's locate the connectors. There's black and red, yellow and red. Let's see, black and red, black and yellow, and then the last one here, number 6, is just BL. Looks like a black and blue. So we're starting with this connector here. Take our test light with a probe and touch that one. Yes, that's nice 1 amp test light. That one's good, that one's good, that one's good. So we just checked off 1, 2, 3. Let's check the other B137, black and white and black and yellow. There's the black and white. Yes. Black and yellow. Yes. Okay. Check, check. Now the next connector over, pin number 4, is a BL. So that's a black and blue, yep. Let's check that one. Yes, we have a good ground there. And then pin 30, sensor ground, yellow and white. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 pins over. That is a yellow and white. Let's just, should be able to carry at least 1 amp of current right in here. Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. So all the grounds check out. Now let's go for the powers. Alright, let's first check this white wire. That's a battery positive feed. Yes, we have a battery positive feed. We'll check that one off. Now the ignition switch. So when we turn the key on, pin 30, this green and red should light up. Pin 30, green and red. That's that one right there. Let me get my probe on here. Yes, we do have ignition power. And if I keep my test light in here, you see back probing isn't the most reliable thing in the world. Sometimes I wish I had 2 hands. I set up my tripod, like many people request. I turn the key off. Okay, perfect. Now, is the main relay clicking on? So, pins 1 and 7 on these 2 connectors, ignition looks like a yellow and black. Yep, yellow and black, yellow and black. Those should come on if the main relay turns on. So I'm going to stick my test light in here, turn the key on. No. So now my question is, so we don't have power here, why is the computer not turning on the relay? Pin 13, light green wire, is the main relay control. Let's see if we have voltage on there, and we can pull it down manually with a test light and see if these 2 get hot. Alright, so with the key off, on the light green wire, that's this one right here, pin 13, main relay control, we have battery voltage. We turn the key on, see what happens. Key on, 0.9 volts. So that should be plenty to energize this relay, but we're not getting power on the load side of the main relay. So now I want to locate where the main relay is, go to that relay and see if it's clicking when the computer commands it on. Alright, so looking up the wiring diagrams for power train management, there's the main relay, right relay block. So there's the light green wire that goes to the ECM that we pulled down. That one had battery voltage, and then key on it had like less than 1 volt. Okay, so that means this side's powered up. This white and blue wire is a shared power coming from fuse, here, fuse 15 amp, right fuse and relay box. So that fuse has to be good if the control side is getting power. The load side, however, you know, on this yellow and black tree, we didn't get anything, and that goes back to the PCM on pins 1, and where else does it go? Yellow and black pins 1 on B136. So let's try to find this main relay in the right relay block. Alright, so apparently this relay block is right by the blower motor under the dash, kind of next to the engine computer. Number 3, top left, is going to be the main relay. So I think that's the next place to go. So first thing I want to do, test light the ground, is be the computer and pull this line down with the key off. So we're at 13.5, down to 3 volts, test light's dim. Something definitely clicks. So there's the relay block right there. Which relay is it? Let me make sure we're going after the right relay, because the fuel pump relay is right next door. Alright, so this is going to be a tight shot with the test light. I got the relay box so I can back probe it. Right here, it's going to be the top right corner. You can see the white and blue. The yellow and black is the output on the load side. So let's check the power inputs. So we have good there on the white and blue. Good there on the white and blue. So control and load side have a good feed. And if I put my test light on here and turn the ignition switch on, you can hear something click, but it doesn't turn on. However, if I ground the control wire, the light green, look at this. We have power to our engine computer. How does that make any sense? Let me get a voltmeter on that light green control wire. You know, can we... If I ground it from here, test lights don't turn on. If I ground it here, they do. So my question is, that light green wire, is it not continuous to the computer? That's crazy. So just that we're clear, we're on this light green wire at the relay. If I pull this down with my test light, we have good power feed. Boom, this relay definitely clicks and sends power to the engine computer. Its neighbor, this oxygen sensor relay, probably for the heaters, also lives right here. And it's on the same control wire, light green. Which pin is that? Pin 11. Pin 11 goes to the engine computer. Pin 13 right there, light green. So if one relay clicks and the other one doesn't, when the computer tries to energize it, but it does when I energize it with my test light, there has to be a broken wire from here to here, right? That's insanity. They're right next door. Oh snap! I was trying to pierce that green and light green wire, it just pulled right out of the fuse box. Look, there it is. Right there. It was by far the tightest wire because this thing's kind of pulling on it. And it just snapped off because the wire's too short. That blows my mind. So let's fix that up. I think this car should fire up. This is insanity. Alright guys, place your bets now. Get the glove box out. Can we do this wiring repair? I see the terminal sticking out. I think I can solder on an extension using the TS100 magic soldering iron. Sneak it in there, get a good connection, and then solder it to this wire. And I think we should be golden. Let's give it a shot. Alright, so I got one more connection to make. I did manage to get the soldering iron in there, solder on an extension. Now I just have the extension stuffed onto the original control wire with some shrink wrap. Before I make the final connection, I turn the key on. Now the relay's latched on. Okay, it just timed out, so this car should start and run. We could even try it right now before making that last connection. Alright, here we go. I checked the engine oil. Hopefully the owner did a good job with the starter. Power's on. Okay. Maybe we should check our battery charger. Alright, here we go. I wiggled the battery connections. Victory! So, pretty interesting. First time I've seen a torn wire because of too short of a wiring harness on a Subaru. But hey, we follow the data. It's on, everything's good. Didn't need the starter, didn't need the ignition switch. So, I think we're done. I'm just gonna wrap everything up, button it back up, charge the customer, and move on to the next one. So, that's it. If your Subaru Impreza or WRX has a similar issue and the computer's offline, I guess check the harness to go into that relay box. You might have a torn control wire of the main relay. Thanks all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Well, that was a fun Subaru. Interesting diagnosis. So after I was done with the car, I actually called up the owner who requested that I come out there, and he told me the full story. So here it is. So apparently one day he was just driving around town, and pulling up to a stop, the car stalled out. Then it wouldn't even crank. So he had the Subaru towed back to his apartment or whatever. He's a student at Penn State. And for 2 weeks, he tried to fix it himself. That explains the starter that we saw in the seat and the ignition switch. So the parts cannon obviously failed. Then he gave up, and he had the car towed to the local shop where I did the diagnosis. Now, why was the bumper, the whole front bumper off the car? Well, because the car was lowered, and several tow companies told him, hey, this car is too low. We're not even going to attempt to tow it for liability. So he removed the entire front bumper and finally got it towed to the shop. Now, at the shop, this car just got dropped off, no bumper, whole bunch of parts laying in the seat. So they took a quick look at it and they're like, no, this car's been messed with. We don't even want to deal with it. So they gave the owner my number, and then the owner called me up, and finally I showed up and we got the car started. In terms of the diagnostic process, that was a beautiful example of a data-driven diagnosis. As you can see, even the biggest parts cannon in the world would not have fixed that Subaru. So the owner tried for 2 weeks. He put a starter on it, obviously didn't need that, and an ignition switch. There was nothing wrong with the ignition switch. And then finally had a real diagnosis done. So very interesting problem. So the whole car was taken down by one little control wire right behind that relay box that triggers the main relay. It was interesting that, you know, when I pulled that wire down at the engine computer, we could hear a click, but there's no power being sent to the ECM, you know, from the main relay. However, when I triggered the relay at the fuse box, right by the blower motor, we did have power to the main, you know, to the engine computer on that main relay circuit. So first I couldn't believe it. I'm like, let me check my, double check my findings. And on the wiring diagram, you could see that control wire actually triggered two relays, which were right next to each other in that little fuse box. I think it was the main relay and the O2 sensor heater relay or something. So it was a little kind of confusing because you heard the click, but one relay was clicking, not the other one, the one that needed, you know, for the ECM power. But yeah, that wire just pulled right out of the fuse box because it was too short. Subaru made the wiring harness a little too tight in that spot. Factory defect. Then off camera, I actually removed the main relay, extracted the terminal, and did a nice job soldering a little extension so it wouldn't be under stress. It was the first time around I just put my soldering iron in there and tried to attach the wire. I didn't like that, so off camera I redid that so to prevent any further comebacks. Also under the hood, I noticed one of the bolts holding a pipe to the intercooler, the bolt was like halfway in and cross-threaded, so I don't know if the owner had took that off to replace a starter. But while I was there, like, hey, let me just take care of this. Took the bolt out, tapped the hole, and put the bolt back in. So the car was ready to go, and he drove it away from the shop. So that was it. And I just wanted to mention that even though the video is about 20 minutes long, I was there for probably a good 2 hours, and it wasn't warm outside, and that makes you kind of do your homework and have a game plan and work quickly. That's why, you know, it might have seemed a little rushed just because I was trying to get through it and not freeze in the parking lot because well, there wasn't really any other option. I wasn't going to put the car or to have it pushed back into and take up one of the bays in the shop. They already pushed it out. They didn't want anything to do with that car. So we did what we had to do and got the car back on the road as efficiently as possible. So that's it for that one. Fun case study. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.